The storm above the northern mountains had not stopped for 3 days. The sky remained dark, twisted by unnatural winds and violent lightning. The frozen lands of the north had seen many storms before, but nothing like this. This storm did not move. It waited. Inside its swirling darkness, something enormous continued descending slowly toward the world. After the fall of villages and the endless battles against the Shadow Army, the warriors of the north gathered for one final stand. If the creature inside the storm reached the ground, there would be nothing left to stop it. The frozen north would fall. Bjorn Ironwolf stood at the front of the northern army. Hundreds of warriors gathered behind him across the frozen valley. Shields formed a wall of iron and wood, axes and spears raised toward the sky. Every warrior understood the truth. This battle would decide the fate of their lands. Far across the valley, the ancient God Gate still stood open between the shattered mountains. Dark mist flowed constantly from the doorway like breath from another world. The Shadow Army had returned as well. Thousands of dark warriors stood across the frozen plains, a silent army beneath the storm. But even they were not moving. They were waiting for their master. Bjorn raised his axe and looked toward the sky. The storm above the mountains began to shift. The clouds twisted violently, forming a massive spiral across the heavens. Lightning exploded across the darkness. Then something moved inside the storm. A colossal shape slowly pushed through the clouds. At first it looked like a mountain falling from the sky. Then the storm split open, and the creature appeared. The World Breaker had arrived. The monster was unlike anything the warriors had ever seen. Its body was vast, larger than any titan, covered in ancient black armor that seemed to be part of its flesh. Massive wings stretched across the sky like living shadows. Its eyes burned with crimson fire, and every movement it made shook the earth itself. When the creature landed, the ground cracked open for miles. Entire cliffs collapsed. The frozen river shattered beneath the impact. The Shadow Army immediately knelt before it. The World Breaker turned its enormous head slowly toward the Viking warriors. Bjorn felt the air grow heavy. The creature's voice echoed across the entire valley. "You still resist." Bjorn stepped forward. "As long as we breathe." The World Breaker stared at him for a long moment, then it laughed. A sound so powerful that the mountains trembled. "You fight a war you cannot win." The creature spread its wings, and the storm above intensified instantly. Lightning struck the ground around the battlefield as the World Breaker raised one massive arm toward the sky. The Shadow Army began advancing. Thousands of dark warriors charged across the frozen valley. Bjorn raised his axe. The northern army roared. The final battle began. Axes clashed against ancient blades. Runic weapons flashed with blue light as they shattered shadow soldiers into fragments of dark energy. But the enemy numbers were overwhelming. The World Breaker stepped forward into the battlefield. Each movement crushed warriors and shadow soldiers alike. The creature did not care who stood before it. Its goal was simple: destroy everything. Bjorn fought through the chaos toward the towering monster. If the creature remained alive, the north would fall. He climbed across broken stone and shattered ice until he reached the base of the colossal being. The World Breaker raised its arm again. Bjorn ran beneath the creature's shadow. Then he saw it. A massive glowing rune burned across the creature's chest, same rune carved into the ancient God Gate. The monster was bound to the gate. Bjorn climbed onto the creature's armor as it moved. Lightning flashed across the sky. The World Breaker tried to shake him loose, but Bjorn held on. With one final leap, he drove his runic axe into the glowing rune. The world exploded with light. Ancient runes erupted across the creature's body. The storm above the valley shattered. The World Breaker roared in fury. Cracks spread across its enormous armor. The glowing rune collapsed. Then the creature began to fall. The massive body crashed into the frozen valley with a thunderous impact. The earth shook violently. The Shadow Army disintegrated instantly. The storm disappeared. Silence returned to the mountains. Bjorn slowly climbed down from the fallen titan. The World Breaker lay motionless. For the first time since the gate had opened, the valley was quiet. Bjorn turned toward the ancient God Gate. The massive stone doors were finally beginning to close. The runes across its pillars glowed brighter once again. Slowly, the ancient gate sealed itself. The war was over. The frozen north had survived. But Bjorn knew something else. Gates between worlds never open only once. And somewhere beyond the mountains, other ancient powers were still watching. If you enjoyed this Viking dark fantasy story, like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter of Frozen Saga. New monsters, ancient legends, and forgotten gods are still rising across the frozen north. The saga has only just begun.